Good evening, high school football fans. This is High School Football America for July 14th, 2016. I'm Jeff Fisher, host of the show and founder and editor-in-chief of High School Football America at highschoolfootballamerica.com. And we are back after our little summer break there, and we are ready to rock and roll into the 2016 high school football season. Practice getting underway in just a couple of weeks, and we are just about ready to enter our 6th year of being America's premier weekly national high school football talk show. As next week we will celebrate the beginning of our 6th year. It all started back July 21st of 2011. And you can listen to all of our past shows for free in our archives at highschoolfootballamerica.com. Right now we're spending a whole lot of time getting the algorithm all loaded up, as on August the 1st we will be releasing our preseason top 25. For those of you new to High School Football America, we started in 2013 working on our proprietary algorithm, and we have fine-tuned it over the last several years, and we look forward to what's going to be released here on August the 1st, as we will name our national top 25 and then the other 25, which means we're going to release teams 1 through 50. That will also result in our 7 regional rankings. We do a top 10 in 7 regions, and then we also do our Southern California top 25 along with our California top 25. So that's all coming out. The preseason poll is not all algorithm. It's about 90% algorithm, but there are some tweaks in it. We put a little bit of personal opinion in there just to make sure that it's all balanced out. But once the season starts, which has been the case since 2013, the algorithm kicks in, and it's all about what the algorithm says. No opinion in there, and we're very proud of what we've been able to create over the last 3 years, and we had Allen being our national champs for 3 straight years. The first one in 2012 was an opinion poll where they tied with John Curtis out of Louisiana. Then they won back-to-back national championships, mythical variety, at High School Football America using the algorithm. Last year, Colquitt County out of Moultrie, Georgia, ended up being our number 1 team. So who's going to be number 1? Coming up here on August the 1st, well, we're going to be giving you some previews of teams over the next couple of weeks to give you an idea. We'd done a few so far. I had Northwestern out of South Carolina, which is a very good ball club. We had Cibolo Steele, and Scott Lehnhoff, the head coach there, will be joining us on the show in just a little bit to talk about how good they'll be this year. Grayson, another great program. We previewed them, and we're going to have a couple several more coming up here over the next several weeks. So go to highschoolfootballamerica.com every day, as we're going to, from here on out, have a new team for you to preview each and every day. Now, Scott Lehnhoff will be on the show tonight, head coach at Cibolo Steele there outside of San Antonio. So we're talking a little Texas high school football tonight, and then we're going to talk some Southern California football, as we will have 2 guests on the show. After Scott Lehnhoff comes on, we'll have Randy Cross, the 3-time Super Bowl champion center of the San Francisco 49ers, former CBS broadcaster and a Southern Cal high school football alum. He went to Crespi High School in Encino, California, will join us, and Randy and I will talk about a bunch of topics, everything from his time back in high school to his thoughts on the current state of the game. And of course, Randy covers almost 5 decades of it, as he's been around for a long time, and we'll joke about that, but some great perspective on the sport of high school football. And then on the back end of the show, we're going to talk with Chris Calvin, who is an assistant coach at Serra High School in Gardena, California, here in Southern California. He's in the process of writing a book that will outline in detail what it's taken for him to go from a high school football player at Serra to Fresno State, where he ran track, and then really had to bang on some doors and knock down some doors to get into the coaching profession. He got it all started with being a graduate assistant at Fresno State, and now he's coaching at his alma mater, and Chris is going to outline a little bit what's going to be in the book and a lot of things that he went through. Some good tips in there, news that you can use on how to become a high school football coach. Want to welcome back all of our sponsors for the 2016 season, beginning with Crossover. And if you haven't been with us talking about crossover over the last year, well, you're missing out, as these are the innovators when it comes to game film breakdown. Coaches, we know how much time it takes for you to sit there and waste time at times on the weekend, I would say, just doing that, the minutia. I'm not talking about actually game planning off of film. I'm talking about the minutia of putting in all the details and getting it all the right way. Well, Crossover does it for you. It's crossoverwithak.com/football for your free demo. You can also go to highschoolfootballamerica.com and click on all of our sponsors' banner ads to get right to what you need to find out about it. But Crossover, great product, and we're going to have Ken Hoffman from Crossover coming on the show here. Coming up shortly, next couple of weeks, we'll have him on. We also have Echo 1612 back. Echo 1612, the innovators. Yes, they're the guys that came up with the idea of instant replay on the sidelines. Yeah, other people are following, just like people are following Crossover, but Echo has been doing it right from the beginning, 8 seconds after the play is done, right there on your sideline. College football is now involved with the EXO system, so you need to check out Echo 1612 at echo1612.com. And also back this year is our good friends at Southern Sport, the TDI Razor, the debris inhibitor razor, keeping those pesky rubber pellets from field turf out of your shoes. And they've got some great new styles this year. They can customize these for you. Great colors, over 20 of them. Just go to TDI Razor with a U, R-A-Z-U-R, TDIRazor.com to learn more. Use the code HSFA to get a discount on your order. So with all that business out of the way, we are ready to rock and roll with our first guest. We have 3 of them tonight, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Scott Lehnhoff, the head coach at Cibolo Steele outside of San Antonio, Texas, one of the top programs in the country this year. They're going to be ranked highly when the High School Football America preseason Top 25 comes out on August 1. So you won't want to miss our interview with head coach Scott Lehnhoff of Cibolo Steele, talking Texas football in the heart of Texas. When we come back, you're listening to High School Football America. Instant replays on a high school football sideline? Seriously? Yes, the future is here with Echo 1612's Instant Replay Sideline System. Echo's cutting-edge technology was the first to the market 2 years ago. Echo delivers instant replay to your sideline on an iPad within seconds of a play being finished so that you can make tomorrow's coaching changes today. This NFHS-approved product may be the biggest change in high school football since the invention of the helmet. Coaches, you'll gain a competitive edge by adding Echo 1612's Instant Replay Sideline System to your coaching toolbox. How cool is this? The Echo Instant Replay Sideline System works with both your current booth and end zone cameras, plus, and this is an important point, Echo works without any cellular connection, data plans, or internet. The list of high school football programs using Echo 1612 system is growing daily, meaning your opponent may already have a game time advantage. You don't want to be left out, do you? The Echo 1612 advantage is simple. Echo plus an iPad equals instant replay on your sideline that improves your game planning. Seriously, you'll be making coaching adjustments in real time, not the day after. Except no copycats, Echo 1612 is the best on the market. Echo 1612's cutting-edge technology helps you make tomorrow's adjustments today. Learn more at echo1612.com. Field turf rubber pellets, be gone. The debris inhibitor razor is a seamless outer sock that was specifically designed to keep crumb rubber and other fine debris from artificial or grass playing surfaces out of an athlete's shoes and socks, thus keeping such debris out of gym bags and locker rooms. The razor, spelled R-A-Z-U-R, is favored by athletes who want the look of tape, by trainers who no longer have the time to tape only for show, and by moms who no longer want that crumb rubber in the house. The debris inhibitor razor is made in America. It's 70% nylon and 30% spandex, making it extra lightweight and very durable, and it's backed by a 1-year performance guarantee. The debris inhibitor razor covers just the right amount of a player's shoe while keeping those shoelaces tight. It's fully customizable, machine washable, and more importantly, it's easy to get on and off. The debris inhibitor razor comes in 23 colors, and sizes are youth, medium, large, and for that extra big foot, extra large. Founded in 2010 by former University of Mississippi All-SEC football player Carl Hoppy Langley III, Southern Sport Inc. created the debris inhibitor to improve athletic performance by protecting athletes, allowing them to look and feel better with technically advanced products engineered with superior fabric construction, patented design, and proven innovation. Get a discount on your order by using the High School Football America code HSFA when you order at TDIRazor.com. That's razor spelled with a U at TDIRazor.com. If you're scouting your opponents without Crossover's game film breakdown platform, you're missing an opportunity to get a huge edge over the competition. Crossover's service lets you upload game film from your hard drive, video camera, or other websites like Huddle. Their team of football experts will then clip and tag the game with player and formation info so that when you log into your account, you can filter the clips however you'd like. They'll also automatically prepare a comprehensive tendency report and down and distance report for your staff so you can see exactly what your opponents like to call in specific situations. We all know that every coach spends countless hours preparing before a game. It's not about the time you put in, it's about what you do with that time. That's Crossover's biggest advantage. It allows you to use your prep time more efficiently and get an even deeper level of insight since you don't have to waste time setting up the film. Check them out. You're going to love them. You can sign up for a quick free demo at crossover.com/football. That's crossover with a K.com/football. USA Today High School Sports is America's leading platform for high school football. The Super 25 team rankings and expert American Family Insurance All-USA list have been determining the best of the best nationally and locally for more than 3 decades. Be sure to check out usatodayhss.com, the best in the game for everything high school football. This portion of High School Football America brought to you by USA Today High School Sports. Check out great national and Southern California coverage from USA Today High School Sports. Go to usatodayhss.com. Well, we kick off year number 6 of High School Football America on the radio by going deep into the heart of Texas in a very good program outside of San Antonio. Cibolo Steele. Steele High School has had quite a tradition over the last 6 to 7 years, and we have the head coach of the program on to talk about what should be a pretty special 2016. Scott Lehnhoff is on the line right now to talk about the Knights and a program that he's led to a 39-5 record since taking over back in 2013. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it, man. Honored to be here with you.
Well, we're happy to have you on here to start the 6th year. And earlier this year, we were kind of doing our previews of teams to watch, and I know Max Preps is giving you a shout out as well. And last year, you guys got as high as number 16 in our national rankings, which is based on an algorithm. So the good news is you were that high. The better news is you got a lot of talent back, especially on defense. So let's kind of just dive into some of the things you've been doing through spring ball and summer. And what you're getting ready for as we head to camp. What are some of the things you want to work on this year to make sure this team does kind of live up to the hype you're getting at this point?
Well, yeah, we got to first off not worry about the hype too much and try to just focus on us and getting better and improving and doing the things that got us to this point, and then tweaking some things that we need to tweak to maybe get beyond this point. The last 4 years we've lost to an unbelievable KD program out of Houston that physically we haven't matched up real well with, and so that was the focus of all season. Obviously, is getting stronger and getting bigger, and hopefully if we run into them or someone similar to them that we're able to match up a little bit better, especially among the offensive line, defensive line.
Talking to Scott Lehnhoff tonight, the head coach at Cibolo Steele in Texas. You mentioned it, and that's where I was going to go next. It's kind of that bridesmaid thing there. Katie has been kind of a bugaboo, but you guys have gotten to the state semis 3 of the last 4 years. I know that's the great thing about high school football. Every year changes, but do you guys kind of turn that into a little bit of energy heading into this year that, hey, it's time to take that next step?
Definitely, obviously want to build off 14-1 is an exceptional season for anybody, and we're trying to do what we can to take that next step again, and to get back to that state championship game and win that state championship game. And that's we've talked to our kids while around the city of San Antonio we may be considered elite statewide. The last few years we haven't been able to say that, and Katy has been the elite team. Cedar Hill has been an elite team. Those are the two teams that have dominated our division, and we want to be mentioned within those programs, and we got to take the next step to do so.
Let's talk about some of the kids that make a difference. I know you've got your quarterback back, Xavier Martin. You've got your leading receiver back. You've got some guys that can carry the football as well. But offensive line, I guess, is the thing that I've read that is the thing that you're working on as far as rebuilding. You lost, I think it was the entire front, right? So what's that been like in spring ball? And give us some names of some kids you're hoping to fill some shoes from last year's great program.
Yeah, we offensive line wise, we lost all those guys of the five up there. We do return Trey Armstrong, who's our tight end. Trey's invaluable to us as far as being able to attach the tight end, come in the backfield and play a fullback position, split out and play some receiver. So, it's a good start for us getting him back with all his experience. But the offensive line was obviously a focus of the spring. We're pretty good up front defensively, and those guys were tested all spring long, and I'm hoping that that competition made them better for the fall. So played some young guys up there that a lot of them hadn't been in the Friday night fire yet, and hoping that they've worked this summer and gotten better and are ready to go. Offensively, I think, like you said, it kind of all starts with Xavier Martin at quarterback. He was exceptional last year, and then in the third round of the playoffs, he had the high ankle sprain that limited him in round 4, and then re-injured again against Katy in the second series of the game there. That it would obviously have been nice having him out there. So you got Xavier there at quarterback, and then at the running back position you got Travell Lumpkin, who had a great year last year as well. C.J. Williams, who's maybe set our career receptions mark already, has got another year left, season's reception mark. C.J.'s a extremely bright kid. He's got some attention from the Ivy League schools, and a great leader on and off the field for us. We got some other young receivers that we expect big things with, but offensively that pretty much rounds it out.
Yeah, it's good to have the quarterback coming back. I just give the listeners an idea. Martin's numbers last year, over 2,100 yards passing, 21 TDs, only 3 picks. Also ran for nearly 700 yards and 8 touchdowns. And I believe, I think this is a quote from you, or just some sort of anecdotal story when you were talking about Martin. You compared him to former Steele alum and Nebraska quarterback Tommy Armstrong. Tell us a little bit about how similar he is, because I know a lot of listeners, that have watched Nebraska know how good Tommy is. So how do you compare the two?
Yeah, I think that Tommy was such an elite competitor and an elite leader, and just he kind of willed things to happen just through his sheer competitiveness. I don't know if I've ever been around another competitor quite like him in my years here or coaching. Xavier is probably a little bit, maybe has a little bit more natural accuracy than Tommy. I don't know if he's got quite as big arm as Tommy did. Xavier's probably faster than Tommy is, but not quite as big. So, it's hard to compare players, but both those guys are great players and leaders of our team and faces of our program, and guys that we owe a lot of success to.
Talking Cibolo Steele High School football on High School Football America tonight, down around San Antonio in Texas. Scott Lehnhoff, the head coach, on the line, and offense is always getting a lot of notice nowadays since we throw the ball around so much. But maybe the core here, as I looked at the team stats off your Max Preps last year, was you've got I believe 6 of the top 7 tacklers back, and a linebacking crew that looks pretty darn good. Take the listeners through a little bit about how strong this defense should be this year for you.
Yeah, we lost Mark Jackson last year, who was defensive end, who's at Oklahoma, who Mark was an extremely good talent that is moving on. But other than that, we returned the rest of that front 7, which includes Josh Carlson at a defensive tackle position, who Josh is, again, one of those kids that not only is fantastic on the field, but may be even better off of it as a person, and the way that he operates academically, and just the type of kid that he is. Quincy Williams, the other defensive tackle, who's a 6'3", 290-pound kid who had a great year last year. Henry Willoughby as defensive end. In the linebacker position, we return all 3 of those guys, that starting with Teron Morris in the middle, who should be much improved after playing all last year, playing 15 games, and had a great spring. J.C. Ivory, outside backer, and Jaden Jackson at the other outside backer. Those guys are tackling machines, and just, one word to describe those guys as football players. I mean, they just make plays. They're not the biggest guys in the world, and not maybe prototype linebackers, but they got noses for the football, and great effort, and whether it's special teams or playing defense, those guys are getting it done.
Scott Lehnhoff on the line tonight. Cibolo Steele football taking front and center on High School Football American. You mentioned it at the top about the hype. It's going to keep coming as USA Today comes out with a Super 25 and all that. What are the things you do tell the kids? I mean, I know it's easy to say, ignore the hype, don't read it, but that's not going to happen in 2016. How do you and your staff kind of handle that part of the deal, and or do you embrace it and just say, well, it's good to be noticed, but we haven't won a game yet this year?
Yeah, I think it's. I think you recognize it, and you tell the kids that what an honor it is to be noticed by some national publications and state publications, and to get the publicity that we're going to do. But bottom line is, each week we've got a job to do, and success is not continuous, and success is not just because you did well one week does not mean you're going to do well the next week. And from week to week, it also goes year to year. And although we've had tremendous success the last 4 years and beyond that, each year's different, and we got to continue to work and continue to do it. And talk is talk, and sometimes the effort that goes into a football team and a football season is what's overlooked, and guys still have to get it done. And so we just preach every day. We gotta work to get it done.
And you guys have a good test there, September the 2nd, Lake Travis, Division II runner-up last year. Part of the idea here in this schedule and putting a team like that up front is to kind of test. I know you guys have played some other big games earlier on in the season over the last couple of years. That the idea behind scheduling like a Lake Travis?
Yeah, one, it's hard to find. It's hard to find games when you've won as many games as we have, and Lake Travis is in the same boat. So I don't know if either of us really want to play each other. We'd probably rather play somebody else. But it is tough to find non-district opponents, and we've got great history with Lake Travis. We played them unfortunately, we matched up with them in the second round back in 2008 and 2009. Years that they went on to win the state title, and we came very close but weren't able to get it done, and we felt like we were the second best team in the state, and it was unfortunate we always had to match up so early in the playoffs with them. But they're back. They've had some years that that maybe that weren't like 2008, 2009, 2010, but now that obviously going to state title game last year, and now returning a whole lot of that team, they're primed and set for a big run too. So, we're excited about it. I know our kids have got it marked in their heads, but at the same time, right now the most important one is week 1 against Madison, because that's the first one that lies in front of us.
Yeah, and I know your fans will be jacked. I was there in 2010 when you guys won the state championship. Your fans are pretty vociferous, I'll put it that way. Scott Lehnhoff on the line, wrapping up here, talking Cibolo Steele football, and it's kind of the last question is sort of a little bit of the first question, which is now as you go into camp and into the season, what are the things on the checklist that you say, hey, the Knights have to do this in order to achieve, kind of the lofty expectations? Do you have, 2, 3 things that you're saying we've got to do this to get back to that state semi and maybe get over the hump into the state championship game?
Well, I think to make a state title run, you've got to have a little bit of luck. And last year, unfortunately, I don't know if we had that luck with some of the injuries that we had. Xavier, Bryson Denley getting hurt in that same game, the week 3 playoff game. Bryce was a running back who will be going to Bowling Green. So you've got to have some things that go your way and the ball to bounce your way a little bit, and then you've got to progress from week to week. And I think in years past we've had some teams that maybe weren't what they should have been week 1, but by week 14, 15, 16, they were playing their best football, and that's what we've got to realize, that we've got to continue to get better as the season goes and not be satisfied with a win here, a win there. I think that's important. Week 16 and December 21st or 22nd, whenever the game is this year, that's a long way from now, and it's kind of a season's a marathon. Mm-hmm. We got to get better.
And we've had a lot of coaches on. It's a marathon, but it's a nice time to cross the finish line if you're playing that deep toward the Christmas holiday. Well, Coach, we wish you nothing but success in 2016. Appreciate you joining us on the show tonight.
I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
Very welcome. Taking a break, coming back with more. You're listening to High School Football America. Instant replays on a high school football sideline? Seriously? Yes, the future is here with Echo 1612's Instant Replay Sideline System. Echo's cutting-edge technology was the first to the market 2 years ago. Echo delivers instant replay to your sideline on an iPad within seconds of a play being finished so that you can make tomorrow's coaching changes today. This NFHS-approved product may be the biggest change in high school football since the invention of the helmet. Coaches, you'll gain a competitive edge by adding Echo 1612's Instant Replay Sideline System to your coaching toolbox. How cool is this? The Echo Instant Replay Sideline System works with both your current booth and end zone cameras, plus, and this is an important point, Echo works without any cellular connection, data plans, or internet. The list of high school football programs using Echo 1612 system is growing daily, meaning your opponent may already have a game time advantage. You don't want to be left out, do you? The Echo 1612 advantage is simple. Echo plus an iPad equals instant replay on your sideline that improves your game planning. Seriously. You'll be making coaching adjustments in real time, not the day after. Except no copycats, Echo 1612 is the best on the market. Echo 1612's cutting-edge technology helps you make tomorrow's adjustments today. Learn more at echo1612.com. Field Turf rubber pellets, be gone. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is a seamless outer sock that was specifically designed to keep crumb rubber and other fine debris from artificial or grass-playing surfaces out of an athlete's shoes and socks, thus keeping such debris out of gym bags and locker rooms. The Razor, spelled R-A-Z-U-R, is favored by athletes who want the look of tape, by trainers who no longer have the time to tape only for show, and by moms who no longer want that crumb rubber in the house. The debris inhibitor razor is made in America. It's 70% nylon and 30% spandex, making it extra lightweight and very durable, and it's backed by a 1-year performance guarantee. The debris inhibitor razor covers just the right amount of a player's shoe while keeping those shoelaces tight. It's fully customizable, machine washable, and more importantly, it's easy to get on and off. The debris inhibitor razor comes in 23 colors and sizes are youth, medium, large, and for that extra big foot, extra large. Founded in 2010 by former University of Mississippi All-SEC football player Carl Hoppy Langley III, Southern Sport Inc. created the debris inhibitor to improve athletic performance by protecting athletes, allowing them to look and feel better with technically advanced products engineered with superior fabric construction, patented design, and proven innovation. Get a discount on your order by using the High School Football America code HSFA when you order at TDIRazor.com. That's razor spelled with a U at TDIRazor.com. If you're scouting your opponents without Crossover's game film breakdown platform, you're missing an opportunity to get a huge edge over the competition. Crossover's service lets you upload game film from your hard drive, video camera, or other websites like Huddle. Their team of football experts will then clip and tag the game with player and formation info so that when you log into your account, you can filter the clips however you'd like. They'll also automatically prepare a comprehensive tendency report and down and distance report for your staff so you can see exactly what your opponents like to call in specific situations. We all know that every coach spends countless hours preparing before a game. It's not about the time you put in, it's about what you do with that time. That's Crossover's biggest advantage. It allows you to use your prep time more efficiently and get an even deeper level of insight since you don't have to waste time setting up the film. Check them out. You're going to love them. You can sign up for a quick free demo at crossover.com/football. That's crossover with a K.com/football. USA Today High School Sports is America's leading platform for high school football. The Super 25 team rankings and expert American Family Insurance All-USA list have been determining the best of the best nationally and locally for more than 3 decades. Be sure to check out usatodayhss.com, the best in the game for everything high school football. This portion of High School Football America brought to you by USA Today High School Sports. High School Football America and USA Today High School Sports teaming up for great Southern California and national coverage. Learn more by going to usatodayhss.com. Well, with the high school football practices getting ready to start in the next couple of weeks, thought it'd be a good time to look back and see how far the sport's come over the last 4 decades. Not going to make Randy Cross sound too old, but he's going to be able to talk about that. Randy Cross, yes, the man who played at Crespi High School in Southern California, college football Hall of Famer from UCLA, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Pro Bowler, could go on and on. Also, after retiring, a top-notch broadcaster on the line to talk a little bit about the game that got it all started for him. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't want to make you sound too old, but you can talk about 40 years worth of the sport here.
I have no problem with that term at all. I've come to grips with that. My length of experience qualifies in that category.
Yeah, it makes you a seasoned veteran, we'll call it. Well, let's go back to the beginning. You're a Southern California boy as far as football is concerned, although you were born in the Northeast. But tell us a little bit about way back when and what got you involved in the sport.
Well, it was actually it was more social related than anything else. When my dad had first offered to sign me up for football, I think I was around 12, 13 years old, right around that, 7th grade, that type of time. I was kind of a shorter, chunky kid, and because of my weight, I wasn't going to play with my age group. I was going to have to play up. And I had never really done anything but for, rec league and that kind of football, sort of go to the park and throw it around and have fun like that. So I'd never really played real football. And I didn't figure I wanted to start out playing with a bunch of guys that were older and bigger than me. I was going to play Sequoia Junior High out in the valley, which is right there next to Reseda High School.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad wanted me to go to a private school. He decided, and probably not a bad idea. I was kind of wandering off the path, you may say. So I had to go take an entrance exam. I thought I had sandbagged it. I thought I had, done a design on the multiple choices, and I had done bad enough I wouldn't have to worry about going to this Catholic all-boys school. I insisted to my dad, I really don't want to be a priest, Dad. And he goes, well, that's not the point, son. And I looked, little to my horror, my trying to sandbag it made things worse because I think I got like a 92 on the entrance exam.
Nice.
And yeah. And I last ditch thing. I said, Dad, I can't go to a school I don't know anybody. That doesn't make any sense. It's going to be just horrible for a year. He goes, you know what? Go out for football. Because if you play football, you'll probably have, 30, 40 guys on that team. At least you'll know those people. So that's kind of why I started football.
It's as simple as that. Dad just forced you to go.
I had to go to the Catholic all-boys school in the Valley. I was horrified. And football didn't make it any better when suddenly I learned the terms gassers and, bull in the ring and pinched nerve and all those other things.
Oh, yes. And it's not a bad football program at that, and it's a great school, obviously. But let's go through that then. So you go in there with very little kind of love for the sport. I mean, when did it finally sink in that I'm pretty good at this and I might want to do it?
Yeah, it took a year or two. I don't know, for those that are from Southern California and have equal experience, I should say, as I do, you'll remember the term, when you started high school back then, like in the 9th grade, they did your height and your weight, and that gave you your exponents, which was where you were going to sit in competition as competition went.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a certain height and weight, you were going to be a freshman, in competition. Certain height and weight and age, you'd be sophomore, varsity, all that. Well, beginning of freshman year, I was 5'6", and I weighed like 185 pounds. So, not exactly ripped in muscle. I was a little horizontally challenged,
and not a scat back.
But I had always been able to throw a ball really well. In fact, in our games, we always played, like with my friends at the parks and stuff, I was a quarterback because I could throw the ball the farthest, and I could throw the ball the best. So I went, in the beginning of practice, I told my coach I wanted to be a quarterback. And that lasted for about a day and a half when he looked at me, and, I told him, I'm not getting to do very much. We had like 6 quarterbacks. And he goes, well, let me explain to you how this is going to work. He goes, you're playing football on a team. Our varsity never throws it. They run every down.
Mm-hmm.
Our JV never throws it. They run every down. I have every plan on doing exactly what the varsity does. We're going to run it every down. We're not going to throw it. So the fact that you can throw the best really doesn't do anything for you. But if you go move up front to the offensive line, because you are a little bigger, you might be able to play all the time. So that's when I donned my tools of ignorance and put my hand on the ground.
And we're going to talk about your son who did play quarterback in a little bit here, but obviously the DNA was somewhere down there way back in the day. Talk a little bit about that high school experience. I mean, whether you've gone to the highest level like you have, and by the way, we're talking with Randy Cross on the line on High School Football America tonight, winning 3 Super Bowls, or the guy that just, it ended at the end of, his high school career. It sounds like a Bruce Springsteen song in the background, glory days and all that. But what are your glory moments about being at Crespi?
Well, it's we were very good my senior year. We were okay my sophomore and junior year. I didn't play varsity as a sophomore. I played varsity only for 2 years, which these days, you're not a legitimate prospect if you don't play all 4 years. It seems in high school. But that's just sort of the plan our coaches had, and we had a decent team. And my glory days, what my senior year, you know, it's I had one of those storybooks. My girlfriend was the homecoming queen. You know, I was all CIF and all this, and I also threw the shot put in track and field, and so I had a good bit of notoriety for a school which at that time had, you know, I think it was right around 400 boys going to school there. We did extremely well in track and field and basketball and football, and you know, going there turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, though as the 14-year-old me in the ninth grade, you would not have been able to convince me of that.
Well, Dad was right, and you didn't become a priest, so we know those two things.
That's right.
So far.
I missed that one by a good bit, actually.
Well, you know, you talked about track and track and field, and you were I think you still hold the Crespi record, right? In the shot put, meaning you're a multi-sport athlete. Just want your take on that today, because, you know, we do have, you know, it's not just football. There's other sports, soccer, baseball. You got to play one. You got to concentrate on all that. What's your take on the multi-sport athlete and what it does for young men these days?
Well, I think it's something that too many kids are missing out on. You know, it seems like when they do play a sport, the only time they leave their house is when they're either training or playing the sport itself. If they're good at golf, all they do is golf. If they're good at football, all they do is play football. If, you know, they hoop up well, then heck, all you do is play hoops. And I think it really cuts back on some very valuable lessons, because no matter how you look at each sport and how adept at it you are, you're missing out that total body training and that muscle memory and hand-eye coordination I think you get from various different skills. You know, it takes a different skill to throw a ball as it does to shoot a ball, as it does to hit a ball, as it does to, you know, go down the list. And being able to master all these other things, I think makes you just all around a better athlete. And it gives you a better ability to be able to adapt in your own sport that you specialize in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Played 3 through high school, and it made a difference. I didn't get to your level, but, you know, it makes that difference that you talked about there. Randy Cross on the line tonight on High School Football America. Played at Crespi High School here in Southern California. Went on to a college football Hall of Fame career at UCLA. 3-time Super Bowl champ. You know, I went through the list at the beginning, Randy, but when you hear the things coming out of my mouth, again, college football Hall of Fame, you know, 3-time Super Bowl champ, Pro Bowler. I mean, I know it's got to be, you know, never in your mind when you're 14 years old, but what do you think now, at your advanced age, as I threw at you at the beginning here, all the things you accomplished?
You know, in a word, just sort of blessed, fortunate, whatever your term wants to be. Got to be careful picking terms these days, by the way, because people get so easily butthurt.
I agree.
But I'm, you know, I would never have thought at 16, I would never have thought at 26 that, you know, I would have been able to, you know, accomplish some of the things I was able to accomplish. I was lucky in that I really got into the whole concept of a team sport. And I think that helped me not only at Crespi, and that's where I learned it. I learned the value of technique, and I learned the value of, you know, breaking down what you did into its most finite pieces, and then working on those pieces, and then putting it together. And that helped at all levels. And that's something I can thank, you know, the high school staff, you know, Steve Butler and Mo Friedman and Joe Hollingsworth, and they were all UCLA Bruins with Terry Donahue on that 66 Rose Bowl team that beat Michigan State. And they were my high school coaches. So I was doing drills that I would later do in college, fundamentally, started when I was 14 years old. So, you know, I think it was that commitment to techniques and whatnot that really made me or enabled me to take full advantage of what I was physically blessed with.
Yeah, I think the word blessed is right, because I was just going to kind of segue out of that into coaches. I've been blessed over my 40 years in broadcasting to know some guys that are still coaching. They're 50-plus years, and I think that's going to go away, and we're going to lose it. I know your son, played recently and then went on to Wake Forest and UCLA, so you've seen the modern-day coach. Can you make a kind of a judgment call on those old-school guys that you just mentioned there versus the new-school coaches? Are they better? Are they worse? Are they the same? We got a take on that?
Well, I think obviously, Jeff, and you've been around it about as long as I have, and you'll probably agree, so many of the all-time greats, so many of the unbelievable coaches and the high school and college coaching legends from the 60s and 70s would be so out of sorts trying to coach not only this athlete, but under these conditions. And these demands from almost a social standpoint. Mm-hmm. You have to be so PC and you have to do things completely different. I would have just loved, anywhere within eye or earshot of a concerned parent coming up to, Bill Leeds, my athletic director and track coach, or Steve Butler, my head football coach, and, complained about how little Timmy wasn't getting to play enough, and that he actually might have yelled in his face at a practice the other day and hurt his feelings. If I could have recorded that, I would be happy for the rest of my life. But that's one of the real changes. And Jeff, it's crazy. It's we're producing a whole generation of mama's boys in a sport world sense, and I'm not saying just football. It's all sports, because the constantly hovering helicopter parent has to be involved in everything.
Yeah, no, you and I have talked, or we're talking for the first time now, but you're spitting out all the stuff that I've believed. And I was going to even ask you the question when Brendan was, playing high school. What type of, father were you? Were you calm? Were you nervous, boisterous, quiet? I'm sure you're not the guy yapping in the ear saying Brendan needs to play a little bit more.
No. I was watching. I was there. I tried to watch practices. I was lucky enough to, with all three of my kids, to be around and be able to be involved and watch them grow up. I rarely said anything football related. I rarely made suggestions. And I think his senior year, when they had all like 9th and 10th graders on the offensive line in front of them, I did volunteer to help him with a little coaching. Just figured it would probably help my son's health.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. And I was promptly told, we can't do those things anymore. Those are illegal. No, but it is hard to see, some of the stuff, because, sorry, you play baseball, it's different. You play basketball, it's different. Football is an incredibly demanding, incredibly difficult, brutal sport. And if you don't have the makeup to do all that, you don't have any business playing in it. The problem is it's a numbers game in high school. Coaches can't afford to run off players because they need all the bodies they can get.
Well said. Randy Cross on the line tonight, 3-time Super Bowl champion. His son played high school football. He lives in outside of Atlanta right now, and his son played high school football, went on to play in college at Wake Forest and UCLA. I was thinking when you went back to offer your advice there to the offensive line, let's just throw the word fundamentals out at you, kind of word association. Are fundamentals still there, front and center, or is it style over substance?
Well, not when I was there. I told the coach pretty much up front that, I was gonna kind of go back to what I was taught when I was a kid. They had a Crowther sled, which they had no idea how to use it. So I taught the kids how to hit the sled. I taught the kids, some specific footwork, some ideas of leverage. It's funny, so many high schools these days, Jeff, buy those, like that long chute with the tarp on top of it, and that's supposed to teach you how to stay low. Kids are smart. That doesn't teach them how to stay low. It teaches them how to not bang their head and then stand straight up. So, I spent a lot of time with these kids about bending their knees and, you know, trying to appreciate leverage as much as possible. Because that, to me, I mean, I was taught the techniques. I never lifted weights until my second year at San Francisco in the pros.
Wow.
I never even touched a weight. It was very simple for me. If I lifted weights, I got sore and it took forever to go away. So it didn't take me a long time to figure out, you know what, I don't like being sore. So if I don't lift, I don't have to worry about that. And it never hurt me in high school. It didn't hurt me in college. But it definitely was hammered home by way of face mask in my head by a Mr. Curly Culp of the Houston Oilers at the time, who's now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that strength is also something you may need when you're playing with adults.
Yeah. well said. Randy Cross on the line tonight. We're going to wrap things up here. A couple more questions. We appreciate your time. But, you know, one of the ththings that you were a part of with your son, you know, Brendan, who was a quarterback, and again, I guess he got that DNA from back when you were 14 to throw the football. but
yeah, that and my wife was a ballet dancer and marathon runner, so he didn't get the horizontally challenged part.
Well, let's talk about the recruiting process and how it's probably changed a bit from back when you were leaving Crespi. Any thoughts on that, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it?
Well, I think the ugly part of it, Jeff's been pretty well documented these days. You know, I did get relatively involved on that side, only from the standpoint of I tried to be my son's BS filter. And that was something that you could look at a school and you could look at a roster and you could look at a team and how it plays and what it does, and you can contrast with what you're being told. Mm. And so I would try to help him out with that. And I hammered into his head that, you know, the most important thing for him had to be, you know, where you went to school and the kind of education you got and what it meant and what it would do for you going forward in your real life. Mm-hmm. You know, and I convinced him very young there was a good chance that he wasn't going to get the chance to be like me and have to act like an adult at 35 finally. That may come a little bit earlier. So that was a huge part for me in the process, and he basically came down to Wake Forest, Vanderbilt, and Stanford at the end.
Good education schools, and it looks like Dad's expertise went to you. You knew what you were talking about. Randy Cross on the line tonight. By the way, what would you be, you know, with the 5-star rating system now? What would you have been coming out of Crespi? You ever think about it?
You know, I don't. Maybe 4. I mean, I was the third tackle on the All-CIF team my senior year. There was one kid out of, I think, Orange County or Torrance or somewhere in there. His name was Chris Avery. And then there was a guy named Terry Albritton who would go on to set the world record in the shot put, just a monster guy out of Newport Harbor High School. And I was the third guy. So I always felt I was kind of like the add-on guy at the end. But probably, I guess, 4.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. I was fast, but nobody cared about fast linemen back then.
Well, here's my pet peeve. At least you calling yourself a 4-star, you got some knowledge and basis to make it on rather than some of these recruiting people. But I'll not get off on that diatribe. I'll ask one more question here.
Well, I also threw the shot put 67 feet, so I figured if I could do that, it probably made me a fairly good athlete.
Right, and didn't you beat Albritton? I think I read someplace. Is that a?
Yeah, I beat him in the CIF in the state my senior year.
Not bad. Again, multi-sport athlete here, Randy Cross. And you know, you can't talk football these days without that word concussion. Just would love to hear your take on it. I know you retweeted the other day, about the, I don't know, was it 500% rates of concussions being diagnosed? Yeah. What do you think? I mean, certainly it's serious when you have a concussion, but what do you think about the way people are attacking the sport as it relates to that spotlight on?
Well, I think they're not told enough, or at least they don't have enough common sense to figure out that the attention on the issue is the major emphasis behind the huge impact in the number of reported cases. And so when somebody says it's up 500%, well, sure, it's just being reported more at all levels.
Right.
And you had to be unconscious when I was playing to actually somebody say, hey, that guy might have a concussion. It's a great issue, something that I'm very passionate about. I'm involved with a group called the International Brain Injury Research Network that's being backed by a few pretty major corporations looking at building a facility down in Florida to try to be a major consolidating center for a lot of the research being done. And it's something that's extremely, I think, important to everyone. And the number one thing you have to understand is the unbelievably capricious and random nature of head injuries. Because what I did over, 21 years total of playing football and the number of hits that I took, another person could have taken 1/10 of those hits and had some incredible lasting type damage. Mm-hmm. So there is no standardized, way of looking at it and saying, okay, if you do this, then X follows along these lines. That's why we've just got to get not only more research dollars and more research being done, we have to consolidate that information so everyone's not pulling on a rope from 10 different directions.
Oh, well said. And I mean, here you're a guy that walked away when you still had some years in you, right? What made you make that decision? I mean, are you just that intelligent, or was it?
No. I've got people that would refute that one in a heartbeat. Especially ones that listen to me do football. To me, it was something very simple. I know, I'm going to be in Canton next month with Eddie DeBartolo for his Hall of Fame induction, and he and Bill Walsh wanted me to play for another 3 years when I told them I was gonna go. And when I told them why I was retiring, I think they both agreed with me that was the decision to make, because it really wasn't fun anymore. Mm-hmm. I was 30 at that time. I played 13 years. I was 34 years old, and I had people telling me what time to go to bed during training camp and blowing whistles in my ear. And, I was Pavlov's dog. I heard a horn. I ran to a certain corner on the field, and it was just, it was time for me to do adult things and put away children's type games. That's just how I felt about it. And, was I giving up money? Yeah, I was like the third highest paid lineman in the league at that time, which now would be unbelievable money. Then I thought I was making unbelievable money. But, yeah, I mean, I could have played another few years, and I would have gotten another Super Bowl ring.
Yep, and you know what, Randy, I'll tell you what, you couldn't have been a more perfect pick to kind of look back over the decades. You're still a person that loves the sport and can give some perspective, so we really appreciate you joining us on the show tonight, and thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of your summer, and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Jeff, and everybody enjoy the 2016 football season on all levels. It's going to be a blast.
That sounds right. All right, taking a break, coming back with more. You're listening to High School Football America. Instant replays on a high school football sideline? Seriously? Yes, the future is here with Echo 1612's Instant Replay Sideline System. Echo's cutting-edge technology was the first to the market 2 years ago. Echo delivers instant replay to your sideline on an iPad within seconds of a play being finished so that you can make tomorrow's coaching changes today. This NFHS-approved product may be the biggest change in high school football since the invention of the helmet. Coaches, you'll gain a competitive edge by adding Echo 1612's Instant Replay Sideline System to your coaching toolbox. How cool is this? The Echo Instant Replay Sideline System works with both your current booth and end zone cameras, plus, and this is an important point, Echo works without any cellular connection, data plans, or internet. The list of high school football programs using Echo 1612 system is growing daily, meaning your opponent may already have a game time advantage. You don't want to be left out, do you? The Echo 1612 advantage is simple. Echo plus an iPad equals instant replay on your sideline that improves your game planning. Seriously, you'll be making coaching adjustments in real time, not the day after. Except no copycats, Echo 1612 is the best on the market. Echo 1612's cutting-edge technology helps you make tomorrow's adjustments today. Learn more at echo1612.com. Field turf rubber pellets, be gone. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is a seamless outer sock that was specifically designed to keep crumb rubber and other fine debris from artificial or grass-playing surfaces out of an athlete's shoes and socks, thus keeping such debris out of gym bags and locker rooms. The Razor, spelled R-A-Z-U-R, is favored by athletes who want the look of tape, by trainers who no longer have the time to tape only for show, and by moms who no longer want that crumb rubber in the house. The Debris Inhibitor Razor is made in America. It's 70% nylon and 30% spandex, making it extra lightweight and very durable, and it's backed by a 1-year performance guarantee. The Debris Inhibitor Razor covers just the right amount of a player's shoe while keeping those shoelaces tight. It's fully customizable, machine washable, and more importantly, it's easy to get on and off. The Debris Inhibitor Razor comes in 23 colors, and sizes are youth, medium, large, and for that extra big foot, extra large. Founded in 2010 by former University of Mississippi All-SEC football player Carl Hoppy Langley III, Southern Sport Inc. created the Debris Inhibitor to improve athletic performance by protecting athletes, allowing them to look and feel better with technically advanced products engineered with superior fabric construction, patented design, and proven innovation. Get a discount on your order by using the High School Football America code HSFA when you order at TDIRazor.com. That's razor spelled with a U at TDIRazor.com. If you're scouting your opponents without Crossover's game film breakdown platform, you're missing an opportunity to get a huge edge over the competition. Crossover's service lets you upload game film from your hard drive, video camera, or other websites like Huddle. Their team of football experts will then clip and tag the game with player and formation info so that when you log into your account, you can filter the clips however you'd like. They'll also automatically prepare a comprehensive tendency report and down and distance report for your staff so you can see exactly what your opponents like to call in specific situations. We all know that every coach spends countless hours preparing before a game. It's not about the time you put in, it's about what you do with that time. That's Crossover's biggest advantage. It allows you to use your prep time more efficiently and get an even deeper level of insight since you don't have to waste time setting up the film. Check them out. You're going to love them. You can sign up for a quick free demo at crossover.com/football. That's crossover with a K.com/football. USA Today High School Sports is America's leading platform for high school football. The Super 25 team rankings and expert American Family Insurance All-USA list have been determining the best of the best nationally and locally for more than 3 decades. Be sure to check out usatodayhss.com, the best in the game for everything high school football. This portion of the show brought to you by USA Today High School Sports, USA Today High School Sports, and High School Football America, partnering to give you great high school football coverage across the country and in Southern California throughout the season. All you have to do is go to their website at usatodayhss.com. Well, as we talked about in the last segment, many different ways to get into coaching, and it's no easy task. And right now on the line, we have a young man who is getting into the profession, and not only did he get into it, but he's going to author a book that's going to help the rest of you out there who want to become a coach, get into the profession, help you navigate. Maybe the trial and error that he did. Maybe he'll lessen that a little bit for you. His name is Chris Calvin. He is an assistant coach at Serra High School in Gardena, California, here in Southern California. I could go through the long list. He's the wide receivers coach, and he's the strength and conditioning coach. He also told me he's the assistant athletic director. Special teams is in there too. And let's see what else Chris is doing. Oh, he's a math teacher and a science teacher. We'll get about that in a second. But anyway, he is in the middle of authoring a book that is going to take a look at what it's like to come out of college and get into the profession as a grad assistant. He did that at Fresno State under Pat Hill, and that gives him the experience. And now, again, as I said, he is coaching here in Southern California. And Chris is on the line to talk about his book. Going to talk a little bit about the Cavs, too, and a whole lot of other things. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Awesome, Jeff. I thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate what you do for prep sports, and it's an honor and privilege to join you here today.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for joining us on the line. Should point out that you're partnering with a good friend of ours, Chris Four, here in Southern California on this book. So let's kind of dive right into this. Like I said, there's many ways to get into the profession, and you certainly got a little baptism by fire there, going to Fresno State and then approaching Pat Hill, and maybe that's where we'll begin, because it wasn't as easy as saying, "Hey, Coach Hill, I want to coach at the collegiate level." Tell us a little bit about what your journey was like and what got you to write this book.
Right. Well, it's been a long journey. I would say the underlining theme throughout my journey has been persistence. I knew that at one point I did want to become a coach. I just didn't know what way or how to go about it. I sat back and wrote a list of goals, and one of my goals was definitely to join a collegiate program, and I felt at the time I was at an ideal program at Fresno State. As a matter of fact, the first time meeting Coach Hill, and this could probably be said for about maybe 5 coaches throughout the country at a Division I program, but Coach Hill was literally wiping down the facilities with a towel and a spray bottle, cleaning the facility. So that just made me feel at home because of the down-to-earth personality that Pat Hill had at that point in time. But for me, I knew the first initial step was to be brought on as a graduate assistant coach. But you know what? There's not much information out there. I mean, there's an article here or there, but there's not much information or literature that tells a young man like myself at the time how to go about doing that. So, like you stated, I went through a lot of trial and error, and I must have went up to the football facilities about 20 times and was told no 20 times. But I did not let that deter me, because believe it or not, that's how they filter out candidates. And sure enough, the 21st time I finally went up to the office, I guess they grew tired of me, and they finally gave me a shot. And whether and I'll speak a lot about this in the book, whether or not it's, filing papers or cleaning up bins, you have to make sure that you do that to the best of your ability, because that allows the coaches in return to trust you and give you more leadway with your responsibilities. So yeah.
Yeah, you got to get a lot of no's before a yes. That's in any profession, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. We've got Chris Calvin on the line. He's authoring a book, still untitled. He's working on that, but he's cranking it out, and it will be available later this year through Chris Four's website, 8laces.org. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And he is, like I said, currently an assistant coach, a teacher at Serra High School, which is he's an alum of Serra. Played for the Cavs from 2002 through 06. Standout all-league defensive back for the Cavaliers back in the day. So let's kind of then take it to what you were saying there, where if you're asked to swab the bathroom, you do it to the best of your ability. So there you are. You finally got your yes. You're probably on cloud 9 now. What are some of the tasks you were given, and kind of how did you approach that job? I mean, I know you're giving your best, but tell us what that means. Does that mean you're working 16 hours a day, or how did you bring it together?
Well, I remember this vividly, like it happened yesterday. There were actually 2 of us that were accepted into a quality control role, and our initial start date was the 6 a.m. practices. All right, so the team wakes up at the crack of dawn, about 5 o'clock in the morning, and at the time, the current graduate assistant, he had asked me, Paul Line, and we're still great friends to this day. He asked me, Chris, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm thinking to myself, what's so hard about coaching? What do you mean, am I sure if I want to do this? So he turns around and tells me, okay, you need to be here at 4:45 in the morning. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my, what are we going to be doing at 4:45 in the morning? But sure enough, this is something that I had really sacrificed, and I'll talk about the sacrifices that you have to be willing to make in the upcoming book. But just to give you a sense of opportunity and how certain people can take advantage of it or let it go to the wayside. Unfortunately, the young man that was brought in with me, he overslept. So when he showed up at 5:15 in the morning, they asked him to literally just turn back around and leave. So there I was, the only one that was on the field. And my first task, believe it or not, I was holding tennis balls for the players as they were doing a 3-cone shuttle drill, and I was getting mud kicked in my face. But I tell you what, I was holding the tennis ball to the best of my ability, and I can promise you that no one was out there holding the tennis ball better than I was. And I really appreciated the time that I did have out there, Mm-hmm. And after the fact that the first workout was over, all the coaches had left, and I run up to the graduate assistant at the time. I say, hey, where's everyone going? Like, what do we do after this? He goes, oh, you just go home. That's all we need you to do. And I was a little bit taken back at that, but you know what? Looking back on it now, that's how it works. Mm-hmm. You're at the lowest of low on the totem pole. And you have to humble and set your ego aside at that point to show them that you are willing to work and bust your butt and show up first and leave last at that moment in time. And, I did that for spring. I did that for summer. And I did that throughout the fall. And yeah, that was an interesting time for me.
Yeah, I would say so. You probably got excited to watch Wimbledon over the last 2 weeks with tennis balls.
Exactly. I probably know how many fibers are in a tennis ball because I did that for 3.5 weeks that they were out there.
That's a great story, and that's the stuff that you're gonna put into your book that you're writing right now to give people the idea.
Absolutely.
And it's no different, really. I know you're writing this for coaches, but ultimately it's any business. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether it's broadcasting like I've been in for 40. You sometimes you gotta scrub a toilet and smile while you're doing it. That's for sure.
Exactly.
We're talking to Chris Calvin today. He's on the line. He's an assistant coach at Serra High School here in Southern California. Great program, and he's writing a book right now. Title not come up with yet, but he's thinking that one over. That's going to look at becoming a college football coach, going in the grad assistant route, which is not an easy one. And one of the things that is so important, and I'm you kind of touched on it. Networking. Yeah, you go to the football office 20 times and get 20 no's and all that. But what about networking once you're in there? Because I know a lot of our coaches that come on here say, you know what, I'm constantly building that network out there. How did you do that? How important is that in your mind?
Right. The networking aspect, it takes time to build. Fortunately for me, I coached in college under 2 different staffs, and it's amazing how just within 2 staffs, how many different schools branch out under one coach, for instance. I can just remember, list off top, I have some ties in the SEC, Pac-12, Mountain West, even the ACC, just from the coaches that I've met, and I can remember vividly one quote from Coach Hill. He used to always say, "You never know who your next boss is." Mm-hmm. So that relationship that you build even though you're a graduate assistant, even though that you're at the lowest of low in respect to in the coaching world. You never know who your next boss is going to be. Like, for instance, the first staff I worked under, they were fired in the first year. Mm-hmm. So, one coach went to Central Michigan. One coach ended up at Colorado State, who's now at Florida. One coach ended up at Tulane, who's now at Nebraska. And these are all ties that branch out. One coach he's still at Stanford now. And these are all ties, and I can easily reach out to them and say, hey, I need your advice or I need your help in this instance. And that's built through the relationship and the hard work that I had earned through the time. And by no means was it easy. There were several sleepless nights. There were, many nights that I slept in the office, and countless other tasks that seemed at the time impossible to accomplish. But one consistent thing that coaches at that level say is figure it out. You don't say that you make a way out of no way, basically, and that's how you earn their trust and respect, because in all actuality, they've been at this point at one point in time, so essentially it's a pay it forward and a earn your stripes kind of deal. And the better or the sooner you understand that aspect, the better you're able to appreciate what you're doing at that moment.
Yeah, no, makes a lot of sense. Chris Calvin on the line tonight, authoring a book right now. It's going to take a look at getting into the college football game as a GA. He did that at Fresno State. He's now an assistant coach at Serra High School here in Gardena, California. And you kind of touched on this a little bit when you said, you didn't oversleep and you figured out how to toss some tennis balls and all that. But certainly you had a desire and a drive to get in, and you were coached yourself as a high school football player.
Right.
So how did, everything you saw having the whistle blown at you change when you start being the guy with the whistle in your mouth? What was expectation versus reality like?
Right. Well, what? That's funny that you say that, because I was just listening to Luke Walton's presser, and he had mentioned that as a player, there's definitely two ends of the spectrum that you have to look at as a coach. You have to look at it from a player's lens and a coach's lens. And through growing up, obviously, I've had my father was a huge instrumental factor. He coached me through whether it's Pop Warner, baseball, track and field, even to high school. Who's my high school coach is currently my boss at Serra High School. So I played for him, and now I'm working with him. He's played a huge role into how I coach, how I prepare. Also, another coach from Serra High School, Steve Garcia, who's at El Camino College, and even the coaches that I worked with at Fresno State, I can lean on, and I have my coachisms come from them. Mm-hmm. But it's a huge factor in who I am today and how I want to carry myself. Keith Williams at Nebraska, he's always preached stay professional, So and that goes beyond coaching. That goes with, for me, meeting parents, sitting in admin meetings at the high school level, is to always stay professional, because, like I said, Coach Hill used to say, you never know who your next boss is. And another coach-ism that I love, especially I use it probably more frequently now that I'm at the high school level, came from Coach Hill, goes by, I believe they say it came from Urban Meyer. You're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. So at college and on the Division I level, it's a different perspective, because these are all players or student athletes that belong on that level. Where you go to a high school level, maybe the talent pool or selection of talent may not be as prominent in the Division I program. So, I found myself reflecting on that really quickly. I'm either coaching these guys to do it or I'm allowing it to happen. So again, I always rely on the coachisms that I've learned and the mentorship from when I was a toddler to this very day.
Yeah, no, makes a lot of sense. Chris Calvin on the line tonight. We're talking about a book that he's authoring right now that will be out at the end of the season, taking a look at breaking into the profession, college football. He went in as a GA at Fresno State, now coaching here in Southern California at his alma mater. And, you talked about getting up at whatever ungodly hour that was to get out to your first practice. and I've said this so often, and I've had the pleasure. I've been around this game for 40 years at the high school level, and, we're not going to see the guys that coach 40 or 50 years as a head coach. I don't think in the future, because you know what? It's a demanding game. It's now 24/7, 365, and all that. And what I'm leading to with that point, and I want your take on it, is the young man. You are a young man yet. You're not an old guy yet. You graduated from high school in 2006. But how much does your age help you in this game? Because you do need some energy to do the 88 different things, 98 different hats you got to wear, whatever it is. How much does it help you in your estimation?
Age definitely helps, but I think the love of the profession helps more. I do this day in and day out, and there's not a single day where I wake up, Jeff, and say, gosh, I really don't want to go in. Mm-hmm. truly found out, and I'm fortunate enough to find my calling at such a young age, and to experience the things that I've experienced, at this age, and I'm really taken back on some of the things that I see in the coaching profession, where, they talk about taking a shortcut or having shortcuts. Well, really, it's not a shortcut. These people have done their time, and they've made great use of it and made great use of the networking that's available out there. And to me, that's what it boils down to, because there are no shortcuts in the coaching profession, because quite simply, as a coach, you can be exposed, if you go 0-10 or 0-12 or what have you, because, the game doesn't change at all. Football is football at the end of the day. Whether you're running power out of an I-back, you can run power out of the shotgun spread that we're seeing nowadays. But if you're not able to articulate that or effectively teach or coach your players to effectively get that done, you'll get exposed on that level. And that's where I think the time and the preparation and the love of the game comes in hand. Because for me, I can watch football all day. For me, I can't attend a Super Bowl party, Jeff. Because I'm always coaching. Like, what are they doing?
I hear that.
How do you leave the 3-tech unblocked? And, all the guys or the girls are looking at me like, what language are you speaking? It's just, football is embedded in me. It's unreal. But that's just the love of the game I have. So I really don't think about the hours. It does get daunting, but that's where time management comes in hand. After a while, you realize where to place certain tasks in a pecking order. What needs to be done first, last, or what can you push off to the side because you have a rhythm or you have a sense of what you're doing. So, but for me, it all boils down to the love of the game. I really don't mind the hours, and I think that's what helped prepare me for coming back to the high school level and juggling all these different titles, what have you, is, waking up at 5 in the morning when I literally got home at 2 in the morning, getting 3 hours of sleep. Well, what do you do in those 21 hours? or 18 hours on a given day? That's pretty hard to explain to an average Joe. My family would always explain or ask me, what do you do? Well, there's really no job description for a graduate assistant because it changes so much on a day-to-day basis. But that's again when you lean on that crutch of loving football, loving the relationships, and loving the mentorship with the kids and all that sorts of things that's involved with coaching.
Yeah, jack of all trades and hopefully master of more than a few is probably the best way to look at it.
Right.
Chris Calvin on the line, writing a book yet to be titled, but it's going to be looking at breaking into the profession through a grad assistant's job. And he did that at Fresno State. He's at Serra High School here in Southern California. You mentioned that he came back into it, and I don't want to go through that whole journey. We could probably do 2 hours on this whole topic. But one of the things that's interesting, and you mentioned Coach Scott Lehnhoff, somewhere in this conversation, who's the head coach at Serra, a great head coach, one of the tops in America.
Yeah.
You played under him, right? So he's blowing the whistle, maybe yelling at you once or twice during your career there.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, you're part of the team, or you're on the same side. What's that like? What was the transition like from being the player? I know some years passed between the two, but being the player and then being, one of the guys trying to put together the Cavaliers.
Right. I tell you, it was a bit awkward at first. Because in my mind I had always envisioned him as coach, or mentor, and now here I am, I'm sitting down and now we're game planning together, and what always strikes me is his father was actually, his late great father was a coach of mine. He was my position coach. So it's all like full circle. It's like they say, life comes full circle. And at first it was so awkward, Jeff. Just sitting in the same room, game planning with the same guy who was coaching, like you said, maybe yelled at me a time or two, to run faster or catch the ball, or hey, you're not doing your job right, and now we're yelling together at guys. But I think now it just makes the transition seamless, because we have the same vision, we understand the task, and we understand the demographics of our school. Howard, David always going against a Goliath, and not many people see it that way, but in all actuality, we are. And time in and time out, this guy has defied the odds for I think he's going on like his 21st year or something like that. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah, one of the great programs in Southern California, the Serra Cavaliers. We're talking with Chris Calvin tonight about a book he's writing, and want to drill it down a little bit, get a little of the people listening here thinking 2016. We're a month away, actually less than 2 months away, I should say, from actually playing the real games and all that. So give us a little snapshot, like you small school doing big things. I know you guys lost some talent, but you guys just reload there. So what'd you see during spring ball? What are you seeing over the summer, and what do you expect in fall camp out of this team?
Well, you know what? I think the staff is really fired up in the direction that we're going right now. Like you stated, we're a very small school. Our student population sits under 490 kids, and that's co-ed. And yet we're still playing in Division I football, the highest level, I think I would say, across the country, top to bottom as far as talent level and competition. But you know what? We're going to be young, but I really like where we're young at because these guys have something to prove. Like you said, we have a rich tradition of sending out kids. I think the number is 11. Next year, 11 players will be on USC's roster. We'll have one at UCLA. I think that we've had 11 Nike opening selections. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. And if you took those numbers and just said the program, Serra High School, you would never know that we're such a small school. But that's why I really love and enjoy my day in and day out job at the school, because the guys really, really, really work hard. And that was just a microcosm of how spring and summer went. We lost our quarterback, but we have a young guy that's been in the system about 3 years, and he runs the offense like he's Coach Aldenberg out there. So that's really exciting to see. We have skill guys back. We have Kobe Smith, Brian Addison, David Urey, Max Williams. You hear a bunch of these guys through the year. And we're really fired up for the first. We play a 0-0 game against Saguaro. I think the G is silent there.
Yep, you got it right. Very good. Your Spanish is working. Yeah. Your Spanish is good.
Right. They're the defending state champions out in Arizona, so we have to travel there. So we're going to be battling two facets or two opponents. We'll have two opponents that night. The Heat and a pretty talented team. So we're looking forward to the challenge. Our guys never really back down from a challenge, and they thrive really well in the underdog role. And we're really fired up about the direction this year could possibly turn out to be.
Well, this is an exciting time of year, and I know for you it's exciting, especially coaching your alma mater, and we just really appreciate you taking the time here. I kind of wrap up with a little bit of a pitch here. Obviously, the book doesn't have a title yet. You're working with Chris Four on it. You're going to be putting it through his website, but how are people going to be able to get the book when it comes out? Do your little pitch here. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but you got to become a pitch man like those people on infomercials.
Right. Well, my message to aspiring coaches is pretty simple. Like I said, when I was looking to become a graduate assistant or get my foot in the door as a college coach, there wasn't much out there. So with this book, this is a tool for coaches to use. And one thing, Football Scoop just put a article out for 7 things that all coaches should have, and one of them on the list was pay it forward. And that's what this book is really about, is to pay it forward to guys like me, who really aspire to get to the next level. What expectations are there to have? What should you be willing to sacrifice? And if that entices you, the goal is to have a release date in December. Chris and I have spoke about attending this year's AFCA convention, so we'll have it available there. And of course, like you mentioned previously, the book can be found on 8laces.org via hard copy or ebook. So I'm fired up, he's fired up, and we've had about 50 coaches respond through a survey about their experience as a graduate assistant coach. We have all the Power 5 conference, or we have a representative from the Power 5 conferences, the SEC, Pac-12, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. There's a representative from all those power schools. So it gives you a really large aspect of, the different experiences that these coaches have had in different conferences, because each one is different.
Mm-hmm.
What a coach may be looking for in the Mountain West may be totally different from what they're looking for in the SEC. So you'll see all those different perspectives throughout the book, and that's why I think this will be a home run out the park, because there's coaches all over the country, and this was demographically in respect to where they are, in the given area. So I'm really fired up about, this project, and I hope someone can enjoy it as much as I write it.
Well, we've taken about 25 minutes of your time here, so that means you weren't writing for 25 minutes. So we're going to let you go, Chris.
Right. No.
let you get back to the old. I was going to say typewriter.
It,
yeah, it's not a typewriter anymore; it's a computer screen. But Chris,
No.
we really appreciate you taking the time, and wish you and the program there at Serra nothing but success in 2016, and look forward to checking out the book when it comes out toward the end of the year. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Great, Jeff. I really appreciate the time.
All right, I want to thank Chris Calvin for joining us on the show tonight, along with three-time Super Bowl winner Randy Cross, talking about his days back at Crespi High School in Southern California, all the way up through the Super Bowls, and a lot of great takes on the game that he loves and so many of us love. 1.1 million players each and every year play high school football as we get ready for the 2016 season coming up. And we also want to thank Scott Lehnhoff, the head coach at Cibolo Steele. Don't forget, High School Football America's preseason top 25 and the other 25, meaning teams 1 through 50. We rank them with our algorithm. Will be coming out on August the 1st, along with our 7 regional rankings, the top 10 from around the country, which will also be supplemented with our Southern California top 25 and California top 25, as we continue to have what we believe is the best national ranking system with a computer in America. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out our coach's job board. We're still getting postings out there. Staffs around America still in need of some help. Go to the coach's job board at highschoolfootballamerica.com, and don't forget to follow us while we're away. You can follow us on Twitter at HSFBAmerica. We're also on Instagram. And coming up in the next couple of weeks, lots of video from Southern California. So it's going to be a fun time as the season is upon us. I want to thank all of our partners that make everything possible here at High School Football America, beginning with Crossover. Don't forget, they'll break down the game film for you, allow you time to do what you do best, which is coach. Check them out at crossoverwithak.com/football for a demo. Also, Echo 1612. Get instant replay by going to echo1612.com. They are the originators of it. And Southern Sport, the makers of the TDI Razor, the debris inhibitor razor. Go to TDI Razor with a U, RAZUR.com. Use the code HSFA to get a discount on your order. And our good friends at ScoreStream will be providing our scores throughout 2016, state by state, top 25. ScoreStream, you can get the app, Google Play, or the iTunes Store. It's a lot of fun. Go to a game and score along. Let everybody know how your favorite team is doing live time while you're at the game. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's show. We're glad to be back. Excited next week, which will be our 6th anniversary show as we kick off the 6th year of High School Football America. Just thank everyone that's made this show as popular as it is. 60,000 downloads per show. We're just very excited to be a part of your world, and we're extremely excited to be an integral part of high school football across America. For now, this is Jeff Fisher saying good night and good sports from Southern California. You've been listening to High School Football America.